the Seagulls, they kick off with the Bulldogs on the 4th of March. They have the bye, Parramatta, Bunnies, Knights, Penrith, Storm to start off. So they play Bulldogs, Eels, Knights, Panthers, Roosters, Sharks, Storm and Tigers twice. Again, not the most sympathetic draw for a team under a new coach, Anthony Seibold, that has lost Andrew Davey.
Struggled last year.
They were pretty ordinary. Foreign, Fainu, Tafua, Tapau, Dylan Walker. They've picked up Ben Condon, Zach Fulton, Cooper Johns, Roach, and Tuolagi from the Tigers, who sort of disappeared off a cliff last year.
Morgan Boyle? Oh, no, he was already there.
Yeah, he's re-signed. He's already there.
Yeah.
And they've extended Alloway and DCE. Actually, I didn't realise that, for a year. So here they are. They've got their 3 big guns. One of them's in the US, trying to remember how to keep his hamstrings.
I reckon he'd be fit by round 1, but we'll see.
I am not, Barn. Overly optimistic, even with Tommy there, that they're going to be setting the world on fire. I don't know what... Look, end of the day, people within footy all tell us that Anthony Seibold's a great coach. They all seem to
they do.
say that he's a great coach, good at what he does and gets out of players. This is the most...
But even when he went, even at his best, right, when he went okay with Souths, he was asked not long after he got him into a good spot. You know what I mean? So there's obviously issues there around his man management.
Brisbane took him like
it was also that's
and then everything went wrong. I don't know what happened in Brisbane, but it went. But
why would South let him go?
That south side was built by Michael Maguire as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he did not put that side together. So,
but South wouldn't have let him go if there wasn't, if they didn't see that there was some sort of issue. If they thought he was the best coach in the comp, they wouldn't have let him go.
They were also going to get.
They
were also going to get Wayne Bennett.
They did Wayne Bennett, yeah. Now, where's Manly at, Barn? Take us through. Oh, Ollie, you can do your 17 if you like.
Yeah.
All right. So at fullback, I've got Tom Trbojevic pending USA recovery.
Obviously, Garrick's there.
Garrick and Saab on the wings, but I feel like Saab is on borrowed time. It's Tuipulotu is right on the cusp there. My centres, I've got Harper and Cooler. I don't have old Hank Scorpio starting, but you could start Hank over Harper, but I feel like Cooler has earned his spot now. Cooler starts. Schuster at 5'8", who's going to eat. You talk about someone under pressure. There's all the talks behind the scenes. Apparently, he's wanted to play 5'8" and talked about how he wanted that chance and didn't go to the World Cup because he wanted to prepare for the role. So he's under a lot of pressure. Daly Cherry Evans, obviously at halfback. I've got Josh Aloiai and I've got Sipley as my props. I've got Croker at hooker, Olakau'atu and Tuolagi in the second row. And I don't think Tuolagi's too bad a signing. He did have a few good games there at the Tigers.
He was fine.
In a side with still
anything that
a
happened
poor
after
forward
round
pack.
15 at West,
you
forgive all the plays, not forgive them, because I'd never forgive them. But you just forget it. You forget it and you treat them to what you think you see.
When they lost the other back rower,
Luciano.
He's got a brother. Yeah, Leilua.
Yeah.
They knew that there was no other strike option in the second row. So they just doubled down on Tuolagi, which just completely cut his output. Yeah. So
Jake Trbojevic at lock. Lawton as the 14 to come on possibly for Croker at hooker. I got Paseka, then Kepi and Bullimore on the bench. And Kepi and Bullimore haven't necessarily proven too much to me, at least last year, but that they are the best options, I think, on the bench, and I think that goes to show the weakness within Manly, that forward pack and the depth.
Which
I've got Kepi starting over Sipley.
Okay.
With who? Aloiai? Or
with Aloiai, yeah. Yep.
Paseka's in
Paseka on the bench.
Yep.
Morgan Boyle or Condon as the 17. I've got big raps on Condon. I thought he was fantastic up at the Cowboys in his limited time that he played. Massive guy, got some of the biggest shoulders I can remember seeing on a back rower in the world, and he's actually pretty quick. So I think he'll be going there. And you've got Paseka, Sipley. I'd have Fulton in my 14.
Yeah.
I know he's only a kid that's coming through. He only played, 3 games, I think, last year for Manly. But of all the young kids I've seen come out and play with absolute mongrel, determination, grit, and the way he held himself on the football field in a first-grade game of rugby league, I think there's something special about that kid, and I think he'll be something very good go down the track. I don't know if he ends up as a lock or a 5'8", or some sort of combination hybrid thing of both, but I can see him being a very good player.
Cool. Especially when you got these players, like we've been trying to say Paseka's going to be a superstar for 4 years now.
Same with Kamika.
So it's so why not get him in there, get him blooded. You have and similar with Agreef Condon, and I will back to earlier. Cooler easily has to start.
Cooler looks like a superstar to me.
Yeah. So look, they've got what they do have on teams is they've got strike, they've got
pace.
They've got
quick
pace.
side.
If Tommy's fit, we know what Tom Trbojevic brings. Thanks, what iPhone. And we know DCE is the second best halfback in Australia.
Goes good.
If not the first, if you're a Queenslander. So, so he goes good.
There's some bloke in Western Sydney, I forget his name.
As you scratch your chin. They've got that going for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have 2 strike edge forwards, Olakuatu and Tuolangi now. And as you said, that's a point difference on both sides. Put up or shut up for Josh Schuster. So
absolutely,
he's been told he's 6. He's the fittest he's been. He's out road running. We've seen the stories doing
training with Roger Fabry, the noted sprint coach.
Okay.
Apparently,
he's off the Big Macs and everything else. So good luck to him. We have seen him make a bit in Test matches where he was not up to Test match standard.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's in that game he was trying to be a.
The only issue was his position was second row when he was doing that.
He did that all last year as well.
So Milford was there going, what the hell? But
so of all the teams in the comp, their top 3 are going to their big 3 are the ones that are going to carry him somewhere. I think they've got a little work to do, but really on paper, in fairness, their 4-pack shouldn't be outmuscled a lot. Aloe has had a rough couple of years injury and stuff. He's a good workhorse, a good solid tradesman. They
lawnmower.
I was just thinking.
They need more out of Bullymore. I was
absolutely.
Him to
I'll be surprised if he makes the side this
year.
And
now, he's and Sean Kepi's a borderline first grader.
Yeah,
good,
absolutely,
good, solid.
And
again,
so
good,
is
solid
Morgan Boyle.
But
Boyle probably even slightly ahead of Kepi, to be honest. Just got a little bit more mongrel about him. I know Kepi gets a bit.
Kepi tries his ass off though, which is
he does, and so does Morgan Boyle.
Yeah.
I think they're probably both a pretty decent fit. You could maybe, even if Paseka's not pulling his weight, play those 2 over him. But this.
What does this DCE Schuster combination actually look like in practice?
Strange.
Very strange. Or does DCE do 90% of it and Schuster will just bob in and
I think DCE probably should do 90% of it, but
I don't really have a good analogy. Try and be the sort of one that bobs in and produces a miracle.
I think Schuster's going to be a very flat, hard-running 6. He's basically going to play the second row as option
as a 6.
Out of 6. So he's going to be running at people, trying to promote the ball after contact, or just catch and pass.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be into the line, offload, or short pass at the line, or it's going to be just catch and pass and get it out to the outside backs.
Yeah.
I can't see him beating too many people with footwork. I can see him bullying people, getting over top, pushing over people, and drawing pass and that kind of stuff. But I can't see a whole heap of beautiful short passing or cut out pass to hit the centre and put him away. It's going to be the big rainbow ball
standing
over the top or standing
pass,
tackles and offload.
Yeah,
I think
it's going to take a lot of DCE telling him where he needs to be and what he needs to do.
I think it's very important that Schuster knows his place and from Cherry Evans, because if that test game for Samoa is anything to go by, he likes to jump in with little unplanned plays to come into the
passes
halves.
When he's not looking.
And I don't think Cherry Evans is going to appreciate having something in his mind and Schuster comes. I think it's very important that Schuster understands that Cherry Evans is the play caller. He's the one that's going to tell him what to do, and he's the one who is going to direct Schuster to come in and make his sort of X-Factor-ish plays and go for a run. I think it's very important, I guess, that Schuster communicates and listens to the former starting Australia halfback and the Queensland captain in this instance.
Yeah, the coach needs to come out and go, no
Listen to him.
overcalls for at least 6 weeks until you prove yourself, mate. Just do as you're told.
Speaking of overcalls, though, what we do get is, if he's fit, the biggest X factor in the game, arguably, in Tom Trbojevic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who loves that wraparound 2-out off daily, just give me the ball sort of play.
Back on the inside of Schuster.
You know, it's been a year, so we forget how good he can be and how destructive he can be.
Unstoppable at his best.
How much does Manly ultimately rely on him again?
I think a fair bit, but what a lot of people do forget, because he's been out for so long, at the start of 2022 when he was playing, he wasn't that great because he didn't alter his style from the year before, and teams, especially the better teams, were working him out at the start of that season. I take it teams probably haven't strayed too much from their game plans for Tom Trbojevic, that he's been out for so long and nothing's really changed. So I still think there is that element when he comes back where he probably does need to change things a bit, and maybe the injuries help. Maybe it's more quality over quantity when he gets involved for Manly, possibly. But I think even if he is starting and playing well, I don't even necessarily think that guarantees Manly a spot in the top 8 this year. I think at best maybe it's 6th. I don't think they're a top 4 side. 12th.
Yeah.
12th. I think actually 11th. The Doggies got 12th. But I don't think it's a guarantee for anything if he's playing well. Probably a guarantee they won't finish in the bottom 4, but these days, with the injuries he's had, with the game plans that teams at the start of last year were able to develop to contain him, I think it might just be a bit too much, and at best it's a bottom half of the top 8 if Trbojevic is at his best.
Anything else you want to talk about? Playing styles? Anyone under pressure here, apart from all of them?
Oh, well, the kicking game for Manly is going to be under pressure because I don't think I've seen one out of Schuster.
I've seen some shitty grubbers.
The grubbers.
Even in the internationals that he did play. So obviously DCE's kicking game's always under pressure, but he does have one of the highest quality kicking games in the competition. But you know where the kickings have come from. So if you can get close enough to him to harass him, you might get a couple of results come your way. You mentioned Paseka. I think he's under a world of pressure, to be honest. And they're going to need to be really good because your Pasekas, Boyles and Condons of the world are backup forwards.
Yeah.
But they're not going to come on in the interchange and break open a game.
No.
You know what I mean? They're just going to do a job. And I think this Manly team
Dylan Walker is...
Even with...
So who's they got? Carl Lawton's your game breaker.
Or Fulton. I think it's Fulton now, to be honest. Yeah. It might take him a little while to work that out, but I think it will be Fulton by the end of the season, and I think you'll see some really good things out of him. But I think this Manly team is a rung below the top. Yep. I think they're going to probably just miss out on the 8, even with Tom there. Tom is the difference between finishing 6th or 12th. Like, serious. If he plays a full, more than half a season, they could probably finish 6th. Mm. But I think they probably finish closer to 12th than they do 6th.
I think that's about right. It is sort of hard to see them finishing in the bottom 4, but to be honest, I think that is also a possibility. If Tom Trbojevic gets injured, I think... So
you're saying 4?
Bottom 4. If Tom Trbojevic does get injured, I'd say... Personally, I think bottom 4 is quite likely.
That's the biggest caveat for any team in the competition.
Well, you say that, yeah.
2 or 3 major injuries for any team.
If Nathan Cleary does an Achilles, Penrith don't finish minor premier.
Well, there's different, like...
I know.
It's not saying Manly will finish. I think there's a lot more stock for Manly put into Tom Trbojevic than arguably any other team has in any one player.
Is there as much stock in DCE? DCE goes down, are they rooted?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think there's probably more, to be honest.
Well, that's right.
Who's giving Tommy the quick ball out
I think
the back,
Tommy does, provide a lot of points, but without DCE, I think
they have been blessed with quite a
absolute shit uphill.
He plays in a dinner suit. They have been
nothing
quite
without
DCE. Really, he stayed fit for so long.
They'd have to throw Fulton in there, I would say, or Lawton, and then you've got one of those.
In Tom Trbojevic's grandiose year in 2021, where he was the best player ever, blah blah blah, Cherry Evans was top 10 players in the game that year. As well,
absolutely.
And I know especially Barney.
I think we were. I
Barney
think he was
noted
second
it,
or third.
Especially, I think
he was second or third in Daggy M.
I think he was top 5 in Dally M's as well. But I just think his contributions went largely unnoted from a lot of people when they sort of didn't. And again, I'll say Barney's the main one who did. Barney was always going on about Cherry Evans during that time, and rightfully so.
Especially through the middle of the year, he was tremendous. Yeah.
So,
but question marks on Harper.
Yeah,
obviously, you know, he had that poor run, but he did come back strong at the end of the year. But he's still got a bit to prove.
Garrick in the centres, they need to
there was
upgrade him, and he might end up there. He's a big body.
Wanted a bit of extra money, so you know,
so
probably
maybe see Cooler on the wing or
Saab as well that Ollie mentioned. Schuster we've already mentioned. I think Olakau'atu goes ahead again. I think he was just that good last year. There's a few question marks around his behavior, like the way he was acting and different at the back end of last year. But I think if they can get his mindset right, he'll go to another level. I've already said I've got big raps on Fulton. The other two that I've got raps on Raymond Vega, who you saw was a blockbusting centre winger that they played for 1 or 2 games and didn't bring him back. But I think he could end up forcing his way into this side in the Saab's position or Harper's position, and Tui Pelotu, who's the other one that could take either of those two guys' positions as well.
I know it's sort of the past now and stuff, but it's just because at the time we were sort of talking about the future of these blokes, but it seems like with Seabold coming in and like the renewal of Manly's side, it seems that the infamous 7, have sort of found their way back into the good graces, at least from what we've heard of the side, and they'll be there, and they'll be
everyone on board, aren't they?
Because I know they'll
be coming out again.
Well,
this year.
It's not to do with it, but in terms of those players last year, I know when it first happened, we were talking, could all 7 of these blokes end up at a different club next year, or some of them, or whatever. True. But they've all, at least they've been able to maintain some quality talent, because I mean, if you look at some of those names, if they'd lost some of them, at least in terms of their footballing ability, they'd be the bottom 4 side, you could say. So they've managed to work that out and keep hold of those blokes, it seems.